All right, guys, welcome to the new channel. Thank you for clicking on the video. Thank you for watching my first video ever on this channel. I'm excited to bring you guys Devy and Dynasty content, anything that I really want to make, but focused around those subjects. So today I'm going to be telling you guys about 5 players who are currently in college football that I believe you need on your Devy football rosters. If you're in Dynasty and you're not in a Devy league yet, these are guys that you need to be aware of. They could be on your Dynasty rosters in a couple years. And by the way, if you guys have any questions about Devy football or about the players that I'm speaking about, feel free to leave me any comments in the section below. So the first player that I wanted to tell you guys about today that I have on a lot of my Devy teams is the wide receiver out of Clemson, Antonio Williams. He is eligible in the 2025 NFL draft class. He was a freshman this last year. He's currently my wide receiver 8 in my Devy rankings, and overall, he's my 23rd ranked player. So I'm quite high on this guy. You know, I know there's not a lot of resources for ADP out there. I'm working on the database with a friend right now, but in my rankings, I have him as a top 24 player in a Superflex format. He is a 4-star recruit, the 8th wide receiver in the 2022 high school recruiting class. And last year, as a freshman, Antonio was absolutely dominant for this Clemson team. As a true freshman, he led the team in receptions and receiving yards. He contributed to over 18% of his team's total receiving offense. So just under that 20% breakout marker that we have for him. But to be honest, as a true freshman to lead his team in receptions and receiving yards, that's very, very impressive. A part of a program that has produced really good receivers at the NFL level. DeAndre Hopkins, T. Higgins, Justin Ross before the injury. This is a program that is not new to NFL success at multiple different positions. Keep in mind, last year, even though he put up the most receiving yards and receptions, he was playing with really average to below average quarterback play. It was up, it was down, it was inconsistent with DJ Ungalele. He is now gone to Oregon State. Now we are playing with Cade Klubnik, the 5-star quarterback recruit from the same high school recruiting class as Antonio Williams. So these guys obviously came in at the same time. They should have a good rapport. Cade is a 5-star recruit, looked really good with the opportunities that he had last year when DJ wasn't on the field, and he should be the one to bring this offense back on track. But as far as Antonio Williams, good size for the NFL, 5'11", 190 pounds, and maybe 5 to 10 years ago, that would be concerning, but 5'11", 190, think about it. I mean, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, these guys are kind of similarly sized, and a player that I believe will be able to be used all over the field. In his freshman year, he was absolutely dominant in the slot. He played 93% in the slot, 6.8% out wide, and I do believe we could see his role grow as he becomes a better route runner, is around coaching longer, and they give him more opportunities elsewhere. Last year, it was just one role, dominate the slot, and he did that. But keep in mind, even if this is just a slot wide receiver, that narrative needs to be thrown out that those players aren't valuable anymore. Cooper Kupp, one of the most valuable players in the NFL for the last couple of years. Amon-Ra St. Brown emerging on Dynasty rosters, and then even Jackson Smith-Njigba, my wide receiver one in last year's Dynasty rookie class. Everyone trashing on, not everyone, but at the beginning of the process, a lot of people were trashing on him because he could only play in the slot. Doesn't matter. That's a very valuable position for the NFL. Trends are leaning towards a slot wide receiver being an important role in an offense, and it's a copycat league. Slot wide receivers will keep being drafted in the first, second, third rounds if they are, talented enough. I believe Antonio is. And he was quoted in a recent interview to have said he would like to play everywhere. He said, I would like to play everywhere. I don't want to just be a slot wide receiver. He went on to talk about how his coaching has already talked with him about how he will be playing more and more on the outside. Very good route runner. And from an early age, I think specifically what's standing out to me about his freshman season is his release package. Now, he can work on some of the nuances, manipulating defenders when he's in the middle of his route, but when it comes to his release package, he's very quickly able to gain leverage when it's one-on-one, when it's press, and he's obviously very good at getting through a zone coverage as well. extremely reliable hands, great contested catcher. Last year, he caught 74.7% of his passes, a very high mark, especially for a freshman. That's actually 13th best of 163 wide receivers last year who saw a minimum of 70 targets. Most of his receptions, because he was out of the slot, were short yardage scenarios over the middle of the field, screen passes, but I expect this offense in general to be much more explosive with Cade under center. So he does remind me a lot, if you're looking for an NFL comp, of Amon-Ra St. Brown. Not the biggest player, but really impressive after the catch, good yak guy and reliable hands. So we'll see what he does here in his sophomore season, but definitely a player I want on my Devy rosters. Okay, the second player that I'd love to talk to you guys about today is a running back coming into the Texas program. That is CJ Baxter. He will be eligible for the 2026 NFL draft. He's currently my RB9 in my Devy rankings and my 25th ranked player overall. This is a 5-star recruit. He was the #1 running back according to 24/7 Sports in the 2023 high school class. Big body, 6'1", 218. You see a lot of running backs come out of high school and they're 190 pounds, 200 pounds, and they eventually get to that 210, 205, 215 mark. CJ is already a grown man coming out of high school at 6'1", 218, has that big NFL body. With his body size alone, you could give him probably 20 carries a day in the NFL and he could handle it. So the good news is you don't really have to ask the question, what sort of role could CJ see at the next level? So big body, bruiser type of guy, but he also has pretty average to above average speed. He clocked a laser timed 4.5 40-yard dash, which that's extremely impressive, for a kid coming out of high school. Typically those 40-yard dash times only get better and better and better every year that you're in college as you kind of get used to your body and you advance in certain areas. Good contact balance in high school. Look, it's very, very early. We haven't seen him take a single snap in this Texas program, but it's all good signs for him to be a true workhorse running back in the NFL. There's no, I would say, things holding him back at this very moment. We're talking about a Texas program that just had a former 5-star recruit in Bijan Robinson go top 10 in the NFL draft, and another backup on this team go 4th round in the NFL draft. So not only is it good to see that kind of pedigree from this program in the NFL, it's good to know that those two guys who are very good are no longer on the roster competing for opportunities. So when you look at this depth chart, it's only Jonathan Brooks and Jaden Blue who are redshirt sophomores ahead of him. Neither, in my opinion, are the talent or the caliber of player that CJ is. Now, I don't expect too much from CJ here in his freshman season, but if an injury were to happen, you never know. Regardless, in his sophomore season, I believe he and Arch Manning will be leading the way for this Texas team, who I believe will be in the SEC, and I think they're going to be one hell of a combo for quite some time in college football. It's way too early for me to give you an NFL comp, but people love them. So I'm going to tell you what I see shades of. I see shades of a Joe Mixon, shades of a Matt Forte, that type of running back. Again, you can give 15 to 20 touches a game. Okay, the third player that I'd love to talk to you guys about today, and this is someone over on the Dynasty Land channel that I have been constantly talking about. Excuse me, if you guys were with us last college season over there, you would know I would not stop talking about this player. And I'm struggling to understand why there isn't more hype, but I could be the only one. We'll talk about it. KJ Jefferson, the quarterback out of Arkansas. He is eligible for the 2024 draft class, so this time next year. He's my quarterback 13 in Devy and my 48th ranked player overall in my Devy rankings, which soon I'm going to release for you guys. Let me know in the comments if that's something that you want. I've been working with my friend Kyle on an awesome database for everyone in the Devy community. But my quarterback 13, and I know that's higher than what I've seen in most Devy ADP communities, but let's talk about it. 4-star recruit, He is 6'3", 247 pounds. So we don't have to ask any questions about, is he tall enough? Can he see over the line? Is his body big enough to handle the NFL, to take a shot? No, he's got a big, strong frame. In 2021, it was his first year as a starter for this team. Incredible year. extremely efficient through the air, didn't force many turnovers, and was a dominant rusher on the ground as well. Dual threat guy, 650 rushing yards and 6 rushing touchdowns. Then in 2022, he loses Treylon Burks to the NFL draft, but still comes back and improves in every category on a per game basis. He reminds me a lot of a quarterback who entered the NFL, was a second round pick, had a lot of doubters, was a hard worker, was a really good leader, was a monster in the weight room, and it ended up winning over a franchise. That's Jalen Hurts. Again, Jalen Hurts, supreme athlete. KJ Jefferson, ridiculous athlete, guy who will dominate the weight room, well-respected leader for both of them, and really good dual threat guys. Now, also similarities there. KJ Jefferson is not going to be the most polished passer, try and say that 6 times in a row, when coming into the NFL. But if the NFL is trending towards these players who, okay, might not have the best, raw passing abilities just yet, but they're dual threats, they're respected leaders, then KJ Jefferson could be the next guy who comes out of nowhere. I could easily see him being a second round pick, like Jalen Hurts was, like Andy Dalton was, Derek Carr, or, Lamar Jackson into the first. I could see him being one of these value picks that just ends up winning over a locker room. In the last 2 years, he rushed for over 1,500 yards and 15 touchdowns. With that rushing upside alone, he should be a name that you should at least monitor in Devy and in Dynasty, see what sort of offers you can send out for him. Last year, he was, this is out of 110 quarterbacks in college football with a minimum of 250 dropbacks. His completion percentage was 12th best, almost 68% of his passes completed. PFF gave him the 7th best offensive grade amongst quarterbacks. His turnover-worthy play percentage was the 16th fewest. Only 2.1% of his plays were turnover-worthy rated plays. His adjusted pass completion percentage was 19th, but at 76.6%, meaning the percentage of aimed passes thrown on target. So 76, almost 77% of his passes were thrown on target to the receiver. He had the 7th best time to throw. So it's not like he's one of these mobile guys who can't make a decision, can't process, can't get the ball out. No, he's thrown the ball quickly, and he had the 9th best NFL passer rating. He had a better turnover-worthy play percentage than Drake May, Quinn Ewers, Will Levis, and get this, C.J. Stroud, one of the most accurate quarterbacks in college football last year. So I'm a big fan of his. Maybe I'm alone. I don't know. You guys let me know. All right, these last 2 players I'm very excited to talk about. At number 4, player you absolutely need on your Devy rosters, and I have no questions that this will be a huge dynasty name in 2025. Wide receiver out of Texas A&M, Evan Stewart. Some guys you put on the film and you fall in love with their game. That's Evan Stewart for me. He is my wide receiver 3 in Devy right now, my 10th ranked player overall. So it's Marvin Harrison Jr. as far as a wide receiver position for my rankings, Emeka Egbuka, and I've got Evan Stewart right behind those guys at this very moment, right ahead of Malik Neighbors. That's how good I think he is. He's a 5-star recruit out of high school. He was the number 1 wide receiver in his high school receiving class, or his high school class, and this dude is a natural receiver. Some people are just born to play the wide receiver position. I said this about George Pickens, different players entirely, but when you watch them, some people are just born to play the position that they play, and that's how I feel about Evan Stewart. It's almost like watching an artist at work. He's a former track and field star out of high school, and you can see that because he's a very special athlete on film. Super twitchy as a route runner. Has a foundation to be a nightmare to cover in the NFL at the next level. And while he is a smaller receiver, he is 6 foot, 175 pounds. So he might be a smaller receiver, but he has incredible hands, really good ball control and ball tracking skills, body control rather, and ball tracking skills. And even though he's 6 foot, 175, when you watch him play, it looks like a 6'4", 200 pound player. Like legit, this dude is not playing anywhere at his weight. He's playing way above his weight. And I can't help but put the comparison out there to Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith kind of broke the mold of a player who might be a little bit undersized, but the skills just kind of went out at the next level. I think Evan Stewart will be the next version of that. But I think Evan could actually come in a little bit heavier than Devonta Smith. Here's what I'll say. Devonta Smith, very good at the catch point. We've seen that in the NFL. So is Evan Stewart. Not a small guy afraid to go up and grab the ball. I would actually argue, though, that Evan Stewart after the catch is more explosive than what Devonta was, or Devonta is here today. Again, it's too early. Obviously, right now, I'm not telling you at all to go trade Devonta Smith for Evan Stewart and Devy. But what I'm saying is what the potential is for him. Last year, at the age of 18, as a true freshman, he led the Texas A&M program in receptions and receiving yards, contributed to 19.9% of his team's receiving offense, 0.1% off of hitting that breakout age. In my books, he broke out. He was a star. So definitely a player you should not feel uncomfortable with drafting in the top 12 of your Devy drafts. Okay, the last player I'm going to talk to you guys about today, and please let me know what you guys think about this video, this type of content in the comments below. Would love to build a Devy community. Would love to know if there's a community out there who is looking for content like this. And I'll be offering my rankings soon. I'll be building a Discord channel, trying to make as many resources for you guys as possible if you're playing Devy. But last player I wanted to talk about today that I think and strongly believe you need on all your rosters, and he is a value in Devy drafts. In every Devy draft I have been in, he's available mid to late second round. I have this player ranked as my 13th overall player. That is Trey Benson, the running back out of Florida State, eligible in 2024, my RB5 in Devy football. Last year, transferred from Oregon to Florida State before the season. Had a great year, big body, insane explosiveness, like so explosive, breaks tackles at an elite rate, and has really good speed for how big he is at 215 pounds. Last year, Florida State had 3 running backs over 90 carries. Benson led them with 154 as a sophomore. I would not be surprised at all if we see 220 carries in this next season for Trey Benson. I told you earlier that he breaks tackles at an elite rate. Well, check this out. We always talk about Bijan Robinson as, you know, this elite guy when it comes to breaking tackles, because he is, or missed tackles forced, because he is. Trey Benson last year forced 79 missed tackles on only 154 attempts. Meanwhile, Bijan Robinson forced 104 missed tackles on 258 attempts, meaning Trey Benson had a missed forced tackle 11% more of the time on his carries than the great Bijan Robinson. 51% of Trey's carries, he forced a missed tackle. Now, context is super important, right? Because typically with more volume, less efficiency, less explosiveness, you're a fresher player. So that could change this year as Trey Benson's asked to carry the offense a little bit more. But last year, he was 13th in yards per attempt. He had the 6th best yards after contact per attempt, the 6th most missed tackles forced. He had the 3rd best breakaway percentage. Breakaway percentage is runs of 15 or more yards. He had the best elusive rating according to PFF, and he had the 11th best PFF run grade. That is out of 168 running backs in college football with a minimum of 100 attempts. Better yards per attempt than Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs. Better yards after contact per attempt than Bijan, then Zach Charbonnet, then Tank Bigsby. Special things are ahead for Trey Benson, so do not sleep on this guy. I feel like he's being massively undervalued right now in the Devy community in drafts and trades, so don't undervalue one Trey Benson. Okay, guys, that is going to be it for the first ever video on my new channel. I hope you guys enjoy the content. I hope you can let me know what you think in the comments below. I have been thinking, and this is all kind of just off the cuff, we'll see how we go. I've been thinking about doing a mock draft for next week's video. I'll probably do a video a week. Maybe we'll start live streaming if you guys want, and we can live stream and do mocks together. But I'm thinking about doing, let's say, the first 3 rounds mock draft of a Devy draft for my next video. Let me know what you guys think or what sort of content you are looking for. So thanks for watching. Drop a like if you want, subscribe if you want to be a part of the community, and I'll see you guys in next week's video.